I'd like to speak out on a topic that's probably going to get me in trouble by big, powerful people. That is retirement accounts, IRAs, and 401ks. Now, a lot of people ask for advice on what they should do to set up their IRA and 401k and investment in that. And I generally avoid the topic. And the reason is fundamentally, I disagree with 401ks and IRAs as a strategy for the crypto investor. And here's why. Banks, financial institutions bombard you with all this information about setting aside 401k and IRA monies. That this is how you're going to save for your retirement. But let's look at the facts. According to the Federal Reserve Board statistical group, the average person at age 65 has only saved $200,000 using these techniques. These techniques, IRAs and 401ks, and their related tax deferred strategies, have been around for decades, but yet the average person only saves $200,000. And 1 in 5 has nothing saved by age 65 for retirement. So all this talk has resulted in bad solutions for people. People have not been able to experience real savings for their retirement. And how much money do you expect to have by the time you're age 65? You're hoping to retire. You're going to make some money off of Social Security. So depending on how much you paid in, maybe you're going to make, 25, maybe 30,000 a year off Social Security. Do you think you can live on that amount? No, you're going to need far more. So you're going to need to have, maybe as much income as you're making during your lifetime. At 80% of your annual income is what they say, but take that for a grain of salt. What do you and your spouse need on an annual basis? 80,000, 100,000? You tell me the number. Subtract from that the 25 to 30,000 you might get from Social Security, and that's how much you need to save. That is a gap maybe of 50 or $60,000. Well, your savings in 401ks will not last very long. So it is a flawed strategy for genuinely preparing for your retirement. So when you prepare for your retirement, you're gonna get money from Social Security, pensions, if those things still exist. It might be just a monthly payout of a certain amount. But you also have healthcare expenses and other things. So what ends up happening is most people go back to work doing something menial at a lower income rate just to make ends meet. Let me tell you why 401ks and IRAs are a joke. And I would use the word that Michael Saylor used. The whole thing is a matrix. They want you thinking about your maximum amount you can pay into your IRA. They want you thinking about having to leave it there for 5 years. They want you thinking about how you cannot take any of it out before you're 59 and a half. Otherwise, you're subject to a 10% penalty. And there's all sorts of, mindless rules for moving between an IRA and a Roth IRA and planning and retirement, as though this is the solution for your retirement needs. It isn't. It is not the solution. The average person at age 65, life expectancy is that they're going to live to be 84, give or take a year. 24 years of money that you need to have set aside by the time you're age 65. Social Security is not going to do it all for you unless you plan on living with your children. So a better strategy is to save your own money and avoid that whole retirement trap. Let me tell you why it's a trap and why it's a matrix. You are forced to put that money into mutual funds, and these mutual funds know that you have to leave that money there for a long time, so they don't give you the best choices. Your employer might only give you 5 or 10 options for putting your money aside. Whatever you roll over, you might have a limited number of choices. Either way, the mutual funds always win because they're going to scrape, give or take, 1% off the amount of money that you have in there. Even if it's a low fee fund, like say a 0.5%, they're still taking a 0.5% off. You might pick an aggressive fund, but they're not as aggressive as the average independent investor is going to be doing. So if the market goes up, they're still scraping a 0.5%, maybe a whole percent off your income. If the market goes down, they're still going to take that money from you. The big problem here is that inflation is also eating away at the savings. You're barely treading water with the returns that you get from these mutual funds that you're left to choose from. If the whole solution doesn't work, and as I highlighted before, it's not working for the vast majority of people. They're not having the savings by the time they're age 65 to really have a comfortable retirement. Why don't you think a different strategy? I would suggest not putting any money at all in there or just enough to get a match from your employer, and then Put the rest of it in something that will grow, like Bitcoin, which Michael Saylor projects to have a 30% rate of return compound on an average basis going forward. This is the way to invest your money. This is the way to protect and provide for yourself, and to get out of the machine, get out of the matrix. So rather than chasing down all those silly rules, maybe it's time to start investing in an asset that really is growing, rather than fundamentally investing in fiat currency in US dollars, which is being eroded by the government, which can't seem to stop spending. This is my 2 cents on that strategy. What do you think? Let us know in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and follow.